There, I think we have it. Good golly. It's the first time I've done this, so give me a minute here. Uh, when I had to go in the settings, I had to set something horizontal versus vertical. And there we go. I really don't like the, what is it, the vertical setting on this, so I had to get it to where it's horizontal, so it could be a little bit picky to how I want my things. Welcome to the Colorado Adventure Channel. This is our first live stream. I hope it's working. I hope you could hear me. It looks like on YouTube, so there I am. But anyway, welcome to the very first live stream on the channel. This is super cool. I'm very glad if there's one person out there actually watching this. I'm very excited about that, and I'll try to stop moving so much and shaking the camera everywhere. Obviously, it's like an earthquake in Japan right now. We hope everybody is fine over there. I've got a couple of friends, Zach and Amanda. I hope if you don't watch this live, I hope you at least catch it later and you all are safe and okay. But anyways, today we are going to talk in live stream and hopefully I'll get some questions. There's actually someone watching. I hope that's not just me. But we could do some like comments in live chat and you all could talk about whatever, bring up any questions you'd want. But basically this is just e-bikes, the accessories and the upgrades that you could do on these things, because a lot of times in the winter months, in the cold months, when we're indoors and we're not enjoying our e-bikes or e-scooters or e-skates or whatever, we're enjoying customizing them and fixing them up. Unless you live in a warm weather climate where you get to ride year round. And I actually ride year round here as well, so it's super fun to ride your e-bike in the winter here. If you have a fat tire e-bike and you have the knobby tires, it's super fun. But yeah, a lot of like customization. You could see like a lot of my videos that I've done where I've added something. Recently I've upgraded a couple things, including a 52-volt battery. Got some warm black tea right now, but I've upgraded a couple things on the Rave here that I've got, the Bullet X. I've put a 52-volt battery on there as an additional battery with a blender, along with the 48-volt battery. The beautiful thing about a blender is it will take that higher voltage and draw it down till it matches the voltage of the other battery, and they'll equally draw down until you have nothing left, I guess, or whatever. But blenders are super cool. They run about $50 to $100, just depending on where you're getting them. Just make sure your controller can handle 52 volts and it's got enough power, you know, like 25 amp or 20 amp to push that voltage or whatever. You do the research. It's just some things that I do. I'm not suggesting you do any of these things. It's just what I do, and I'm sharing them with you. And if you want to leave a comment or whatever and ask a question or something that you do, that'd be totally cool. I doubt that anybody will, because this is kind of a test run anyway, and it took me 15 extra minutes to figure out what the hell to do on this. So there's that. But no, anyways, on the e-bike, like right now, I've had 4 e-bikes and I've had 2 scooters, stand-up scooters, and doing like customization things on them. You know, one of the first things I do on the e-bikes is the brake pads. A lot of them come with brass or metallic type brake pads that are just really, you know, squeaky would be a good word, grindy. And they're just the cheap brake pads that basically just come with these e-bikes. And that's one of the first things I enjoyed changing out. I also enjoyed changing out the handlebars. I also enjoyed changing out the hand grips, the pedals, just the contact points, the seats. If it's like a, you know, regular normal bicycle type e-bike with, you know, just the post type seat. The Rave that I've been riding here lately has that big long banana seat that's super comfortable. That's the reason I went with a Rave this time. Was basically, I've got analytics on here. This is really cool. I could see that, yep, no interaction whatsoever. Just totally awesome. I've got one viewer. It's probably my girlfriend. But anyways, the great thing about customizing these e-bikes is changing those contact points, like the seat, the pedals, and the hand grips. Really cool things like what I'm getting ready to do on this. I have changed the handlebars to BMX style handlebars. I've got some other handlebars coming that sit a little bit lower, just so I'm not pulling these cords as much. I've got some grips, and I'm changing from a twist throttle, so thumb throttle on it. Getting back to the battery, the cool thing about those blenders are, they run like $50 to $100. Just be sure that you get the right size connectors and the right type voltage that they can handle, what you're trying to do. Don't get like something that's made for 36 volt and you want to run 52 volt out of it. Get something that's, 52 volt compatible. But what I did is I actually have a 52 volt battery. It's a 10 amp, and then I've got a 48 volt battery. It's a 13 amp. So together it's 23 amps. The way the blender works is it will draw off that highest voltage first and draw it down, and then continuously draw down the batteries till they're both drawn down, or till the last one's drawn down. So it will actually start with that 52 volt 10 amp hour battery, draw it down till it gets probably to about 54, 53 volts or whatever, where that 48 volt battery is. They'll draw down until the 10 amp runs out, and then that 13 amp will run the final 3 amps. Is kind of how that blender works. If you do not use a blender, it could be very dangerous, and you could have like weird draws and back draws and things like that. There's just a little chip in there that kind of gives a little current time to cool or whatever it is. Again, I'm no electrician. I just know how to do things. But yeah, it just allows that draw to equalize and be super even. So like on this bike, I did put mud guards on it. I put a rear rack on it. And a phone mount. And I will list not only the Rave Bullet X link on the bottom. If you use that link, it'd take you to Rave e-bikes, and then it'd give you the best price you can. It also helped my channel. Also have all of the links to all the items that I'm talking about, whether it be the handle grips or the handlebars, whether it be the phone mount, the extra 10 amp hour battery. I'll also list the little Cyclone speaker that I got here. This thing is so cool. If I could get it out, I've strapped it in there pretty good. This Cyclone speaker is probably just one of the neatest things that you could get for your e-bike, because it fits into like your water bottle holder. It comes with a water bottle holder actually, but you can see it's just not big at all, and it's super loud. It's got great bass to it, and I'll put this in the link too, but it's the Aventry Cyclone speaker. Like just little things like this that we add onto our e-bikes, is super, super cool. And I enjoy listening to music, and I'm sure everyone else does too. But yeah, I mean, just looking at like some of the things that I'm considering doing. I actually got 2 people watching. That's probably one of my daughters and my girlfriend, or both of my daughters. That's probably who's watching, which is humorous. But anyway, like 2 of the frames that I really, really have my eyes on, if I did like a custom build, would definitely be like the Super 73 frame or the Zeus Ultra Flex frame, the UF 1200 frame, or even the 1100 frame. Either one of those, like the UL, and I think there's the Ultra Urban. But those frames are just really sturdy and super high quality. That if I did like a custom bike just from the start, I'd start with a Super 73 frame or a Zeus, just because the rigidity and the quality, the metals that they use and the welding that they use, just super high quality. I mean, it just depends on what type wheel I wanted to go with. That's where those 2 bikes are really, really different. You've got the Zeus bikes with those 24-inch wheels and like 3-inch tires, and then you've got 20-inch wheels with the 4-inch tires on the Super 73. So that's where the difference is. You got like a more squatty, bulky type frame and build if you went with like a Super 73 type build, and then if you went with like a Zeus, you'd basically would be going with like a more of a narrow BMX old school style build, and probably a lot lighter would be my guess as well. After the frame, And I mean, included in the frame, you just decide if you want to go suspension or not, because with the Zoos, 1100 or 750, you would have no suspension. 1200, you'd have full suspension. If you went with the Super 73, you could go with like, one of the RX styles, RS styles, or whatever it is that has like the suspension, and then one of them does not have the suspension. So it just depends on if you want full suspension or no suspension or front suspension. That would be like the differences in the frames if you did like straight up from the ground up build, which is what eventually I want to get into doing, is doing a full build from the bottom up. Now that I've had 4 bikes, I've customized everything from, putting dual batteries in them, different type motors in the back, different controllers in these things, different handlebars, doing tire swaps and things like that, changing brakes. On the scooters, like on the V-Set that I had, it was really cool because on that 9 Plus R, they had like a split wheel. So when you were changing the tire in the tube, that rim actually split. It was very cool, very convenient. Once you do it a couple times, it's actually not too shabby. That's like on those scooters, just that high pressure and high density tire that you need on those things is so much different than like e-bikes, where it's just a low pressure, bigger tire. It's just so much different. E-scooters, ton of fun. I'm not saying I won't get one again. That 9 Plus was super awesome, but going 40 miles an hour on something that small is really sketchy. So if I went with another scooter, it would definitely have to be like a 10 Plus or something bigger. But getting back to the e-bikes, if I was doing like a custom, just straight up from the, did you retire the Rip Racer? Yeah, Craig, I did. Actually, I sold the Rip Racer to a really good friend of mine, just down the road. And I actually got to change the tires on that bike for her and put those knobby tires that originally came with this so she could get on the snow. So, yeah, I sure did, man. I appreciate it. I just appreciate you commenting. It's really good to have a comment on my first live stream. I've shocked somebody even did that. But yeah, I've actually contacted Tora Harris, which is the owner and founder of Juiced. I'm trying to get another bike from him currently, and we have chatted. He's definitely wanting to get me something. I don't know what it is yet. He's got a couple new bikes coming out. I really hope they come out with a new version of the Rip Racer. I really, really do. It'd be so cool. It's that bike is so awesome. So awesome. I'm glad I went to a good friend, because I mean, I took very good care of that thing. Everything is in mint condition. Mint condition. But yeah, that bike I did a video talking about. I think it was the last video I did with the Rip Racer, talking about retiring that bike. That was such a great bike. Juice makes a quality bike. The only things I would have changed, and I talked about this in the videos with the Rip Racer, the only things I would have changed on that was probably a little bit better of a braking system on it, just because that thing has so much torque and goes so fast. It was good. The braking system on it was good after you changed the brake pads. These came with squeaky great brake pads, and I probably would have wanted just a little bit, or maybe a step up in the quality of the brakes themselves. Even though they were hydraulic, maybe just one little step up. And just the throttle only going to 20, and then you have to pedal coming out of the box, when like Rave and all these other companies, if you unlock it, you pretty much could go 28 miles an hour throttle only. I really enjoyed that. I put together my girlfriend's bike. She has a Rusher, and when we put together that bike and unlocked it, just having that throttle only going, I mean, her bike goes like over 30 miles an hour. She doesn't weigh anything. That's a big part of it. But even when I'm on it, it was going over that. I did a video actually of that Rusher. Really cool bike, but that throttle only going 20 with the Juiced Rip Racer was very disappointing, because they basically, you could get a controller for it, but the controller is like $200 or something like that. So just a ton of money to invest after you make that initial purchase in that Rip Racer to make it what I did with the handlebars, The tires alone were like $180. Those V Speedsters, those things, I highly suggest them. But at the same time, just seeing like how everybody lives in different areas, it's just kind of crazy. Um, Depending on where you are, what kind of tires you should get, in my opinion. Here, they just clean the roads and constantly you're brushing the roads. And then you have snow in the winter. We don't really have like a lot of debris, even though there's a decent amount of construction going on here. But just they really maintain and clean the roads here to where if you're in a bigger city where there's more traffic, I guess, or more construction probably going on, you probably really need to look at a thicker, more rugged tire, go with liners, so on and so forth. With here, honestly, I've never had a flat. And probably 10,000 miles on e-bikes and probably 3 or 4,000 miles on e-scooters total around here on the bike paths and on the road and just on the streets and stuff, and never had a flat. That's just because, in my opinion, the roads are just very kept cleaner here, and there's probably just not as much debris on the roads to begin with. Saying that, if you look or in a bigger city like Chicago or New York or Los Angeles where there's constantly stuff on there, my suggestion is go with like one of those Huntsman tires, or just a thicker tread tire, or at least a line or something like that. So that's my opinion on the tires. But going back to the customization of a bike, I would do a good frame like a Super 73 or a Zeus frame. The next thing I would definitely look at, obviously, would be like the motor system. I would go with like 1,000 watt minimum in either one of those systems. That would just be my opinion if I was starting from the ground up. There's just not a big price difference. And sometimes you can get those 1,000 watt kits cheaper than the 750 watt kit. I'd definitely probably want to go with, if I did go with a 1,000 watt, 1,200 watt, even if I did end up going with a 750 watt motor, I'd want to go with like a Bafang. I definitely want to go with a name brand, something that's just been around and has a really good reputation. Even like the the generic brand motor that came with that Juice Strip Racer was just incredible. So I think, a lot of these motors I think are definitely going to outlast your batteries. So I don't think the motor is going to be a huge issue. It's just that if I'm going to do a custom build, I'm going to go with a good frame. I'm going to go with a really good motor system, and probably some really thick spokes if I went with a spoke system. If I went with the Super 73, I'd probably go with more of a mag wheel. And then if I went with the Zeus, more of a lighter type bike just to begin with, I'd go with just a thicker spoke system if I had that option to go with thicker spokes and a thicker wheel. Chris Smith here is like, your shows kick ass. Love the snowboarding vids. E-biking is one of my pastimes. Love the info and the effort to entertain. Your content is always great. It's Mark, right? It's Chris. But yes, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate that. I have a lot of fun. I live in a beautiful area. The snowboarding videos are a lot of fun. You'll see a couple of those tree runs that I'm going on with. The girl that's with me is my girlfriend. She's just a really good snowboarder. I will admit she's probably got a little bit better form than I do, and a little bit more discipline at the sport than I am. Yes, Chris, it's just a great name. It's just a fantastic name. I like your name as well. But yeah, it's just going through the trees and doing all those fun things. It's so amazing. I live in just one of the most beautiful areas in the world. I worked in the music business for a decade, and we went on these snowboarding trips, me and my buddy Jack and Tony, Derek. We went on these snowboarding trips, and it was just amazing, just going on these short little trips. We'd go to Snowshoe, West Virginia. When I was younger, much younger, I had the experience of going to a couple big resorts, and just getting the taste of that was just amazing. But it was so far and few between living in East Tennessee. We had this little mountain, Ober-Gatlinburg, that we would go to at night after work just because we lived so close to it at work. And sometimes we'd go hit that up at night and do some night skiing or snowboarding up there. But Snowshoe, West Virginia, Sugar Mountain, North Carolina, and Beach Mountain, North Carolina, Cataloochee. Just some great great Maggie Valley area, just some great areas that we used to go to. They're just super, super small, super tiny. But if you can ride there, you can ride anywhere. As the old saying goes. But as I was out there in the music business, I just kind of got like, my certifications to teach snowboarding. And after I did that, I applied for a job at Vail just as giggles. I was over the music business. I was just over a decade in it, and it's just, it's a tasking business. That's all I'm going to say. And I was in charge of like software sales for a huge company, and as we transitioned from software to downloads and stuff like that, of course, I still always had job security there, but I just had more responsibilities probably put on my shoulders. Was getting paid more, yeah, but just the balance of it. I was involved in a little bit of real estate, building houses as well at the time. The market was kind of crashing there. And I was just kind of like, well, this is the opportunity to move somewhere and move anywhere I want to. So I picked Vail, Colorado. And when you see these snowboarding videos or whatever, that's what you see me and my girlfriend riding in the trees usually, or me just doing some solo trips on the mountain and talking about different parts of the mountain. Chris, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed the videos. And there are plenty more to come, trust me. I think we're getting a foot of snow tonight. My girlfriend's actually stuck in Steamboat where she was getting an adaptive certification added on to her mini certifications. She's a snowboard instructor. But anyway, yeah, getting back to the e-bike thing, starting with the frame, Super 73, going with the Zeus, probably frame as well, just depending on what mood I was in. At this point, would I go with full suspension? Probably. If I was going just to do it all right, I'd probably go full suspension, which would narrow that down to the UF 1200 with Zeus, or what is it, the RX, or whatever the fancy one is, the Super 73. I would definitely go full suspension, now that I think about it. And then after that, like I was saying, the motor, I'd probably go with that 1,000-watt motor, 1,200-watt motor, try to go with a Bafang. If I went with spoked wheels, I'd want to get really thick spokes at that point, just because of the torque and bumps and things. I'd want to go maybe with a mag wheel system if I went with the Super 73. Just be so much extra weight onto the weight the more I think about it. So just maybe just really good thick spoke system. Controller, I'd want to go with like, if we start talking about batteries and controllers and things like that, definitely 52 volt. I don't think I want to go more than that, honestly. Maybe 60, but I just don't think around here, just for what I use it for, I just think it would be a little bit of overkill. So, yeah, I think at this point it would be definitely, if money was not an option, I'd go with the Super 73 ground up build. There's so many options. There's such a huge community in the Super 73 too. It's just amazing. So my ideal Super 73 would definitely be that frame, or my ultimate custom e-bike would be a Super 73 frame, 1,000-watt Bafang motor with just super thick spoked wheels, really nice rims, that kind of thing. Just some really good, thick walled, sturdy tires. And I'd want to go with like just basically the best braking system you could get for e-bikes. I'd go with like 203 on the front rotor, 180 on the back, the 4-piston setup. I would definitely, over a Sur-Ron, those are, to me, are two totally different bikes. I'm a dirt biker, you've seen a couple of my videos. I'm a dirt biker. A KTM 250 XC and a Sur-Ron are not in the same category. They're just not, and that's what I got as a dirt bike. So for me to go with a Sur-Ron or Talaria, to me, would be a major step down in my dirt biking experiences. And I'm not saying I wouldn't go there. It's a lot of money, man. And unless my YouTube channel is going to take off, or I win the lottery, where I get a really big job in front of me, I do, I do a lot of maintenance work for property management around here in the valley. There's just 20 and $30 million homes everywhere. There's 40 and $50 million homes everywhere too. I just don't work on those as often. But if I can get like a big job, like a big kitchen remodel or something like that here in the next spring or something, yeah, I could go with a Suron or a Talaria. It's just that right now that's like 3 or 4 on the list of things to get. But yeah, I would love to have a Suron, no doubt. Like if Suron or Talaria was willing to throw me a bike or give me like a half price discount or something like that, I'd be all over that bike. And it would do so well here in Colorado. I mean, there's bike trails everywhere. There are a couple of them around here. A couple of my friends actually have them. I'm super, super jealous. Super, super jealous. But yeah, I would love to have a Suron or Talaria. It's just right now, being a dirt biker and a 250 XE 2-stroke is just, yeah. Anyways. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I guess if I went with, like the custom e-bike build, the ideal one that I would do would be like the Super 73 frame, full suspension, some just really, really nice front forks, really nice handlebars, really nice motor system, like I said, with good spokes, good tires, and 52 volts is probably what I would be going for, and probably like a 35 amp controller would be about where I would want to be, because I don't want anything too crazy and I don't want anything pushing the motor too much either. And I could probably go with the 750 motor at that point and be totally fine as well. But yeah, I'm thinking like 52 volt, 35 amp controller is where I'd want to be. That's like the Rave Bullet GTX. That's where they are with their bike, is a 1,000-watt motor, I believe it is. They've got a 35 amp controller and it's 52 volts. So yeah, I mean, that bike's really awesome. I'm trying to get those guys to give me one. I'm pushing them to give me one for the channel. I messaged Frank today. Ever consider a wired? Yes, a wired Freedom I would. Now this is the thing that I have with the wired Freedoms. They're under $2,000. You get like the 60 volt battery system with them. They're really sweet. They look really good. And the thing is, they're so incognito, man. I mean, seriously, Chris, they are so incognito. Like, they look like an e-bike with 60 volts. And they're just so fast and so powerful. I think that is a great, great e-bike. I think that is a fantastic e-bike. The only thing that I'm getting with those is it's just, we have like different levels of e-bikes to me. There's like the Amazon eBay ones, not really a company. They're just kind of e-bikes being sold by a distributor, whoever just buys a bunch of them and sells them. Not really any customer support. You got those like Alibaba, that kind of thing. Okay. And then you've got e-bikes where there's an actual website, there's a company, they're all made overseas, they're brought into a warehouse. There's like a lower level of those, and there's like a mid-level of e-bikes. That lower level would be like to me, honestly, would be like Ingway, electric. Those kind of bikes to me are kind of like that lower end, and then you start getting up to like Rave, in that middle end there, and Juiced. You get those middle end e-bikes that are just super high quality, super great price. I just think that's like where that's where I steer most people that are just getting into e-bikes, is either to Rave or Juiced, or something, or Rad Power if it's more of like a family type situation. Even electric, now that they're offering better brakes on their bikes, because they were having just cable brakes there for a while. It's just really, really, really bad to have cable brakes. I had an Ingway that had cable brakes on it, and coming down a hill, and the rear brake cable snapped. And thank goodness you have 2 brakes. I think you'll get sponsored, I hope. God, yeah, man, I really, really hope so. I really would like to get sponsored, Chris, and man, I appreciate your support on that. I mean, I'm not going to bring a bike onto my channel and not use it for a long time if I don't believe in it. The Juice Rip Racer is a great bike. It just needed to be retired. I rode it and I did a bunch of videos on it, and that's kind of where that bike goes. I am in talks with Tora to do another run with his bike if he's wanting to, possibly. We'll see what happens there. Right now with Rave and working, with Frank and Jack has just been a true pleasure. The customer support with that company is absolutely amazing. That's a big draw to me, is going to be like the bike being worth the price, to me right now, not being like, to get sponsored by a company is really hard. I am fortunate enough that Rave did send me a bike to run a bunch of videos on and stuff like that. Talks with Frank. Just being in the business, being in like sales and wholesale and manufacturing and stuff like that my whole life. And then prior to that, I was in video and audio type work too, production. I worked at a shop at home channel for years running video camera. Then I worked in the music business, worked in retail sales and everything. So like kind of all the things that go into YouTube and like showing things off and things like that, just they're easy for me because I've done all those things, and hell, I'm old as fuck, 50, so it's easy for me to do, and I don't have to think much about it, and being somewhat savvy on the computer and just kind of learning as I go is nice. I'm friends with Andrew at Freshly Charged. We chat a lot. He just had a baby. If you know anything about e-bikes or e-scooters, you know who Andrew and Jimmy are. Andrew's a good friend of mine. We chat all the time. He just had a baby. I know Jimmy had trouble at the airport with the dog and stuff. He had his father-in-law, I think, passed away. But yeah, so I mean, I'm friends with those guys. I talked to Yogi Steve that does Electric Scooter Academy. He does a great job with electric scooters. He is the scooter guru. He really is. I mean, it's just because he touches base with so many people that own scooters, and he's owned so many, and he really uses them, like uses and abuses them. So, I mean, if he's going to say something good about scooter, I'm going to take his word for it. He just knows scooters, and a lot of times, like learning from these people out there, I've worked on motorcycles my whole life. Customizing dirt bikes and crotch rockets. I'm a big ZX9 Ninja guy. I had a ZX9 for years, a ZX6R for years, ZX69 for years, GSX R750. I'm a big motorcycle guy. So working on these e-bikes is really nice and easy. So there's just not a lot to them. So doing a custom build and doing customization on these e-bikes is so nice and so easy, just because the bike's just not as big, it's not as heavy. So yeah, getting back to my ideal custom would be Super 73 frame, full suspension, and great front suspension, of course, put on it. 1,000-watt motor, Bafang motor. Probably get about that 750 Bafang motor now. I'm thinking about it with 52 volts running 35 amps. It'd probably be okay if it was a good quality Bafang 750, but just really good spokes to hold the torque. I would also do a custom color paint job for sure on it. I really like the chrome look, I really do, but I'm a big fan of blue. So I'd probably go in a lighter shade, middle baby blue, a little bit darker, something like maybe a little bit darker than that. Maybe you could tell I've got blue, yeah, probably something like that. Something on the colors of that, and black and white. That would be probably my ideal colors, and a really good, cool custom seat. I've always wanted an e-bike seat, like these banana type bench seats, black with just like that metallic metal flake in it, that silver metallic flake in it. I think that would just be so dope. And I just go with really good high quality brakes, like I was talking about, the 4-piston. What is that zoos? I don't know if it's gonna let me, let's see here. Zoos has on their website, it's a specific braking system here. Let's see, Zoos. e-bikes, because I mean, you'll know who it is when I say who it is. Everybody be like, oh yeah. It's just a really high quality braking system. Shop parts. Let's see here. Yeah, the Magura, the Performance Magura braking system. So this comes with your rotors. This comes with the ideal rotor system setup. We're talking, this is on the Zoo's website, by the way, and this is under their parts. When you go under sales. So we're looking at $499 for the set. That's front and rear. But you get a 203 millimeter front disc. You get a 180 millimeter rear disc. Thing about like a lot of these discs too, it's not only the size of the disc, it's the thickness of the disc too. So you go with the thickness of that disc. It's super important, and it's not only it's not even two pistons, 4-piston hydraulic brake system front and rear. That's really huge, and just the quality of the handles and everything is just super huge. So that's the braking system, would be the Magura, Magura Performance Brake Kit. That'd probably be the brand I would go with. So, you know, look at that, Google it, call the company, whatever. Make sure it fits your ride before you buy. That is my suggestion. So a phone call or an email isn't bad. And that way, if they send you the one that it doesn't, you can say, well, we talked about it, or you emailed me about it, and I'm all good. So blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so that'd be my brake system that I would have on my ideal setup. And then like the grips, man, those Troy Lee Design, I think it's ODI that makes those. Either one of those companies makes really good hand grips. I definitely go with the thumb throttle. I am getting a thumb throttle for this tomorrow. New grips, new handlebars, a new stem. Basically the whole handle front system is going to be changed on this tomorrow night. I'll show you that. I did get that 52 volt battery hooked up on it. I did run it a little bit today, just ran it just to see. Seems like it has a little bit more torque at the low end, maybe just that initial throttle, just a little bit more there. That's all I could tell. The top end was not more, because I lifted the wheel up. 28 miles per hour was still the top end. It's just kind of where the controller's set, I think. Let's see, what else would I do? The tires. Like I said, I'd probably go with those Huntsman tires. Those look really good. It's like Rave has really nailed it with that GTX. I'll leave a link at the bottom that you could hit Rave through and see that GTX. They've kind of nailed it. The brakes and the rotors and that kind of thing, I need to check that out a little bit more. Let's see here. What did Chris say? Agreed. Thumb throttle is so much better. I know. If I went with like a Zeus build, you know, so if I ever get the opportunity to do a custom build of my own version of a 73, I'll do a Zeus one right after that for sure. Because I'd probably, yeah, I like both of those so much, I'd probably do that one too. If I did that one, that particular one, yeah, I know, man. They really have. Those V Speedsters are really nice. That thumb throttle, if I had like a Zeus style, I definitely want that thumb throttle for the wheelie aspect for sure. I'd probably put it on the left side just so I could have that rear brake. You know, it'd be so nice. Just be so, yeah. It'd be so nice. If it had a clutch, if there was like a clutch system like you have on the dirt bikes, wheelies would be so fun. But anyways, yeah, if I had the Zeus, I'd go thumb throttle on the left side just to do the wheelies, but thumb throttle all the way for me. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's just, and it looks good just having the way the setup is with the grips and the handlebars, the thumb throttle, that kind of thing. I'm very impressed with the Rave brakes. I did change the brake pads. The brake pads that came with them were like some kind of copper or whatever. They're very squeaky. Changed them out, and now they're great. But as far as the quality of the calipers, the quality of The handles I'm super happy with. The rotors themselves, I definitely would go with like bigger rotors. I think they come, the Bullet X comes with 160 front and rear. At least 180 on the front for this bike. If I did like a 52 volt or 60 volt custom build, definitely want 203. Like I'd go with that Magura kit. I'll just go with it. I would just go with it. So you're looking at probably like 1200 for that frame for a Super 73 build, for the motor, controller, all that. You can get those relatively cheap now. So we're talking 750 for that. $1,800, the Magura brake system, $500, I think it was. So yeah, you're looking at $2,300, tires, couple $100, 25, 20, this is say $2,600. You'd have to get a seat, $2,800. You see where I'm going with this, that to do like a custom build and get everywhere you want, you can go super high quality and still beat the Super 73 price if you know how to do it. And you would get all the like great things like the bigger motor, the bigger controller, you see where I'm going with this? So you could like do it just as high quality as Super 73 does, because they do have super high quality parts, but you just have like the extra punch in it. Yeah, riding in the snow, it's fun. It's silly because, riding a dirt bike up here and doing a lot of single track, it's easier than that. I'll tell you that. And you're limited. I mean, you'll know when that e-bike just won't do it. I mean, especially I think right now I'm I think the torque, the Newton meters of torque on that out of the box are 75. Unlocked, I think it's 80. So right now I'm like at 80 Newton meters of torque. The Juice Rip Racer was 85 Newton meters of torque. The thing about that Juice Rip Racer, it had so much torque in the low end that when you did hit that throttle, if you were like on a hill or whatever, it would literally just flip. I popped a wheelie in front of a restaurant one time, just popping a wheelie, and the bike just literally just threw me off of it. Made a total idiot of myself. Explaining that to my friends was not that fun. But yeah, riding in the snow is super fun. I did grab the fishing rod attachment off the Juice Rip Racer that I'm going to put on this bike as I take it on ventures this summer, because I will be fishing a lot. So like more accessories would be like a fishing rod holder that I'll be putting on it, probably some type of rear basket as summer comes along and I go to the farmer's market in Vail or Minturn. Those kinds of things, will be more accessories and stuff that I may grab or get. The Kryptonite chain lock is amazing. I know a lot of people like to get like the hook locks or whatever. The chain lock to me is super amazing. And all the links with all the things I have will be down in the description below. And if you want to, please donate to the channel. That would be great. I'll put my Venmo and my PayPal down below. Donations will be greatly appreciated. But yeah, getting back to just the final few thoughts on my customization of my e-bike and just customizing of parts and things like that. It's super cool to do customization and pick the colors and do those kinds of things. Seeing all these big group rides online and stuff. I live in such a small valley. It'd be hard for me to get 3 people to ride together. I think 4th of July, it was Mitch, Jackie, and I, and a couple of his friends on e-bikes. I think that was the biggest group ride I ever been on. Here was 5. But I had been on some in Denver, a couple in Florida. So the group rides are super awesome. I've been on one in New York too a couple years ago. It was super fun. So yeah, the group rides are super fun. I would love to get on more of those. The group rides that I did go on were on Super 73s that had been modified. So they just had bigger controllers, a little bit more power on them. And they were super comfortable, like super comfortable, super heavy, super bulky, honestly, but super comfortable. And as I get older, comfort's huge. I ride a lot of miles on my bikes, doing the maintenance in the summers and stuff. I'll put 3,000-4,000 miles on an e-bike in the summer, just running it up and down the valley. But yeah, I guess that's kind of the things I like. I do like the BMX handlebars, and I do like the bar going across too, where I could like mount, a camera or my phone mount, or just the bar in general. It just looks cool. It just looks cool. So I do like that. That is what is on here now. They're just a little too high. Those cables are just kind of stretched. They feel compromised, and it's kind of like not really too tight, but you turn that wheel real hard. If you just turn it real hard, I don't want it to like pull the cables. So I'm gonna lower it just a little bit and give it a little bit more slack in those cables. Should be done. I am gonna add triple fork suspension on this bike more than likely. More than likely, I'm gonna add triple fork suspension if I do not get rid of it first. It just depends. Rave needs to send me the GTX. I mean, seriously, I live in Colorado, man, and I think the views on this bike alone, just on the videos on this bike alone that I got, are well over 6,000 views. And I'm tiny. I'm a tiny, tiny, tiny little YouTube channel. I mean, I'm not even monetized yet. And I get views on my e-bikes in the thousands. I think my Juice Rip Racer, I've got one video, it's over 4,000 views. This one I just posted just like a few weeks ago, I think is like 2,600. Something like that, maybe 2,700, and I got another one that's 1,400 on this bike too. It just the e-bike reviews I do on these are easy because I'm into them. I know a lot about them. I've been in sales and stuff like that, so it's easy to review these bikes and talk about them and give my honest opinion on them because I'm not going to sell something to somebody I don't believe in. And the only reason I reached out to Rave to get this bike from them is because I believed in their company. I mean, these guys were. I think were with Honda for a while and then left Honda and started their own e-bike company. So that's all I need to know. And if they don't get it right the first time, they eventually will. I mean, they eventually will. And their customer service is amazing. It's just huge to me because that's a big part about me and me being in sales was my customer service. You can ask anybody that's ever dealt with me in the music industry or in general in sales is, I want to give them good customer service. So when I show these bikes and I talk about them, it's because it's the bike I picked. I mean, it didn't just say, hey, you want a bike? We're going to send you this bike. Or did the bike just show up on my doorstep one day? No. I basically said, hey, man, send me a bike, please. But yeah, send me the GTX, Frank. Come on, dude. I've got a lot of adventures to go on. And my girlfriend really needs this bike, I think, for her yoga YouTube channel. But anyways, yeah, doing customization on the bikes. I'd really like to do my own customized bike and maybe do several more and then start selling them. But you can see where I was going with the price. You start getting up there where you're pretty close to where that Super 73 price is, or you're pretty close to where that Zeus price is. You're still $500 or $600 below, the Super 73, or even $1,000 below the Super 73, and you're getting better performance if you did your own from the ground up. But yeah, I do my own paint job for sure. If I could get the frame bare metal, that'd be great. If I didn't, I'd go get it. I'd just go get it sandblasted or whatever. Just get it a base frame and just do my own paint job. I know how to paint, so that wouldn't be a problem. But yeah, I mean, the customization thing is definitely something I want to do for myself. Maybe ride it a while, then sell it, and then get another one and do it again. It might be how I start with that. It'd be really hard to sell it unless I was making some money, because if you invest that much money, let's say you invest, when everything's said and done, $3,200, to make money on it, you'd have to sell it for $4,500, which would be about where that Super 73 would be with shipping and tax. So yeah, it'd be about where you'd be and just have a better bike. Just have a better bike with just a better, more power, more torque, that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, I'll do this again. I'll do this live stream again. I'll go ahead and wrap it up. It's been an hour, almost an hour. I'll go ahead and wrap up this live stream. I don't know what the next one will be. It might be about e-bikes. It might be about the snowboard back here that I got. What a great, great snowboard. Capita is amazing. A little someone turned me on to them. But the Capita Indoor Survival is amazing. The Union Ultra Bindings, the Ride Jackson Boas. It's a good combination. But anyway, This is Chris from the Colorado Adventure Channel on our very first live stream, and I actually had a couple people watch. I think Craig and Chris, and had some cool people chime in. So that's really cool. Again, Chris from the Colorado Adventure Channel. Until our next adventure. Peace.